Alright everyone, let's check out what's going on with green Metaverse token today. So it's been a couple of days since we have covered some of these altcoins. Honestly, we've really done nothing but, lollygag, trend sideways. It's pretty much the same in all of my crypto charts at this moment in time. I'm looking at all of these altcoins and some of them, well most of them really, for the past week they've just been chopping to the side. I made a video on ApeCoin yesterday. Ape is doing the exact same thing. You can see this is such a tight, boring range, but a lot of these altcoins are starting to break to the downside of this. Why am I saying, other altcoins are breaking to the downside of these channels while we're talking about green Metaverse token? Well, looking at what other altcoins are doing, if the whole altcoin market is forming the same pattern and some of the altcoins break down before the other ones do, then it can just be a leading indicator of what's going to be happening in the altcoin market. And you can see, not surprisingly, we look at the altcoin market, or, better yet, we should look at the specific altcoin market. So we're going to be looking at total 2, which is the total market cap minus Bitcoin. And you can see, depending on how you want to draw this, because you can draw it like this, and in fact this has the most amount of touch points and it keeps the data the most concise, but you can also argue horizontal ray here, which we're already currently capitulating below. I'd probably keep it like this, but you can see, we are breaking down. The EMA ribbons are already starting to expand since their most recent tightening, and the squeeze bomb is pushing to the downside. So in my opinion, a lot of these altcoins are about to capitulate, and I'm going to back that up with what I think is going to be going on with Bitcoin at the end of this video, because if you don't know, all of these altcoins follow Bitcoin. You'd be very hard pressed to find an altcoin that doesn't find Bitcoin, that doesn't trend with Bitcoin, and even if you do, you'll probably be finding something that's inversely correlated to Bitcoin, which means that they're still correlated, they're just inversely correlated. So, depending on whether it's a positive or negative correlation, almost all these altcoins follow Bitcoin to the absolute teeth. It's very rare that you see, a market outlier. Like, for example, Chainlink last cycle just did not care what Bitcoin was doing, it was just doing its own thing. But from what I can tell, Bitcoin is being very choppy and mundane as we're coming down to the bottom of this 29,000 region, and this is meaning that all of these altcoins are really on their last legs, about to capitulate. You can also see something like this could be playing out where Bitcoin is in this falling wedge right now. I think we are moving down to 22, and I am going to talk about that in a minute, but let's see what's going on for GMT by itself, and then we'll compare that to the rest of the market. Weekly time frame, not a lot to talk about because this is very plain. We don't have a lot of data traded, but there is a decent amount of selling volume in the past 3 weeks. The past 3 weeks worth of data have been very much pushing to the downside. In terms of the most macro fib that we were running off, you can see it a lot better if we hop over onto the daily. You can see this was a perfect uptrend, and as it topped out, we've done nothing but capitulate below all of our moving averages. What we've actually done is we've gone up for this big run. We've broken down below your 786 Fibonacci, which is not a good sign, considering, in my opinion, this is a trend that's best defined on the daily. Technically speaking, a daily close below your 786 Fibonacci would mean that the trend is invalidated, and as we have gone all the way up here, we've broken below the 786, and we've back tested it, and now we're rolling back down. You can see we've got this little bunny hill where we've tried to come into the 786 and we've got rejected from it. While we're doing this, the squeeze mom on the daily is starting to move down, as in, technically starting to move up, but I mean the bears are losing momentum, and we're kind of rolling back down this hill before we go inverse onto the bull side. I don't think something like that is playing out. Because a lot of the time I see, you have these things that I like to call bunny hills, and a bunny hill not correlating to the squeeze mom, this is normally what happens where you see, for example, we didn't actually see it on the inverse here, but you can see it perfectly here. You've got a bunny hill in the data, and what that simply means is you've kind of like rounded your way up to a target, which is not necessarily a good thing. So you can see we've rounded up, we're losing momentum, and then you're curving back down, gaining momentum to the downside is normally what these little bunny hills are. And a lot of the time they correlate to a lack of momentum or a slight momentum shift on the squeeze mom. And in my opinion, pairing these two together, this more seems like the bears are taking a breather, and when we do get that next leg down, I think the bears would once again step in and we'd get another huge bearish wave on this squeeze bomb. That's just my opinion. I think that's what's going to be happening. On the daily, we're literally getting ready for a bearish cross anytime soon. You can see the 21 EMA is coming right down to the 55 EMA. We're currently sitting on the 50 EMA, which, you know, if I remove it, you can... Oh no, so yeah, the 50 EMA right here. You can see this is the last line in the sand before we come down to this 55 EMA, the EMA at the bottom. Why is it important that we hold both of these moving averages? Well, if we come down to this EMA ribbon, the 55, and we do not get a bounce, and in fact, if we come down to it and cross, this is going to be indicative that we've got a bearish cross. This is going to flip red. It is going to be firing a sell signal over on the EMA ribbons, and that is basically going to be the telltale, you know, kick in the teeth that this little bump up was merely just a dead cat bounce before the trend flips back macro bearish again. So very interesting things going on with Green Metaverse token. It does look very nasty to me that we've bunny hilled up to this 786 and rolled back down. Depending on how you want to view it as well, you could also draw something like this. And if I make this a completely different color, let's make this pink, and if we extrapolate that, you can actually see we've been in a bear flag. This is also like a bear flag pattern, and I believe the target of this would be so brutal. Yeah, the target wouldn't even be valid because it's in the minuses, but nonetheless, you can see this is something that we've already broken to the downside of. I'm going to be focusing more on this pattern. I think this is more important to keep our eyes on. This basically asymmetrical triangle, asymmetrical wedge. I think you would have to call this an asymmetrical wedge, because if this was an asymmetrical triangle, it seems like the apex of this would be, you know, all the way out here somewhere. So I don't think that's going to be playing out. So this is a weird one, an asymmetrical wedge. If you want to just call it like a condensing channel or something like that, then, you know, so be it, whatever you want to call it. But the matter of the fact is, you know, we've come up, we've got rejected from your 4-hourly EMAs as well. And once again, you can see this little like run up, loss of momentum and curving back down is really indicative that we're probably about to break down. Looking at this trend line, you know, a move below $1.29, $1.30 would probably be the nail in the coffin, meaning that not only are you moving back below this trend line again, which we've been rejected, had a fake out, and as I always say, a fake out or a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. That would probably mean that after we lose this trend line, we could massively capitulate, and it is seeming like that's what's going to be going on. Coming down into this trend line, you can see a lot of volume has been traded. In fact, 52 million green Metaverse tokens have been sold in the past 4 hours. And if you're wondering how I read how much volume has been sold on these candles when there's nothing on the y-axis, go check out my educational playlist. I made a video on how to read how much volume has been traded, basically how to quantify how much volume was bought or sold during one of these candles. But nonetheless, it seems very obvious to me. You know, you zoom out since the all-time high, I feel like we could wrap it up here, but you know, 4-hourly EMA ribbons, they've been bearish ever since we kind of topped out, and as we've kind of lollygagged and these EMA ribbons have tightened, I feel like the next big move to the downside is very likely. Let me just explain why. Previously, you can see, look, the EMA ribbons tightened so hard here. Why did they tighten? Well, we were breaking down and we were chilling below this moving average. So this simply means the moving average on the top is slowly converging into the short-term moving average, and the short-term moving average really isn't moving at all because it's literally like a millimeter or so above the price. So they both just converge into each other. And once you finally have that ping of the rejection below you have a huge capitulation. You can see EMA ribbons started tightening the most right here. As soon as they got up to the most tightest, they had a big capitulation. They really didn't do too much here. They didn't actually tighten. It just kept landsliding. So this tightening was really one big move to the downside. So, you know, so far, every time these EMA ribbons tighten, and this is what we're going to wrap the video up on, we had a 30% wrap to the downside. From here, once they started tightening, they were really done tightening here and they were going down. We had approximately a 68% move to the downside. So what did we previously talk about? Because I was actually saying that I think, let's see, this target, I mean, this seems to be done. We can remove this trend line. I wouldn't be focusing on the target of that anymore. We've kind of just bled out the side of it. Nonetheless, we'll keep the trend line there. I do think still, I talked about this a while ago, I think green Metaverse token is at least coming down to 50 cent. Believe me, that is a conservative bet. I was here in the 2017 bear market when Bitcoin was capitulating, and I'm telling you, these altcoins got slaughtered against Bitcoin. And the altcoins that rode trends towards the end of these cycles, that didn't necessarily, you know, build anything unique, but were kind of just riding this hype trend, they got absolutely decimated. And I think these move to earns are going to be the next privacy coin of 2017. What I mean by that is in 2017, all the hype was around privacy coins. Everyone was just copy and pasting the information based or the metadata. They were basically copy and pasting projects like Monero and Zcash, and like I said, copy and pasting it. Here's a new privacy coin, here's a new privacy coin, here's a new privacy coin. Kind of like Oprah, you get a privacy coin, you get a privacy coin. That's what everyone was doing. And now it's kind of like, you know, here's a new move to earn, here's a new move to earn, here's the new move to earn. Does your move to earn have swimming? Well, does your move to earn have dancing? They're not innovating. They're just kind of one-upping each other so they can get hype, and then they seem to die out. And in my opinion, green Metaverse token already kind of seems like it's dying out. Now, I would be surprised if at least one of these move to earns doesn't survive the bear market. So if you want my personal opinion on what move to earn I think is going to make it, I think it's either going to be green Metaverse token or FitFi. I haven't decided. I think they're both going to get destroyed against Bitcoin very soon. And to wrap up this video, you know, like I said, after we capitulate below this level, 129, it really does seem like, in my opinion, we would be coming all the way down. You know, you're coming right down to your 618 fib. 127 is your absolute lowest level. If we take that out, you can also see that lines up nicely with these lows that we've got down here. So you would be below everything at that period in time. I do think a 62% drop is still on the table. That being said, we've already moved down since I made that prediction, so 56% is personally what I see coming for green Metaverse token. Tons of, well, not tons, but decent amount of volume stepping in. Bearish momentum is stepping back. Rejection after rejection after rejection from your moving averages. And yeah, you know, you've invalidated your 786. I feel like that wraps everything up. Daily EMA ribbon's about to converge. It could get a lot more ugly. And to finish off this video, I just want to show you this Bitcoin chart. And, you know, I think, in my opinion, this descending triangle from the all-time high is exactly what we're seeing now, except the support is a little bit elongated because we actually did something like a double top over here. But if this was the pattern that we saw back then, this would be exactly identical to what we saw here. The only difference, literally the only difference, is the fact that this doesn't go out a little bit longer and we didn't have a top before coming into it. This was more of your standard blow-off top that we were really expecting for Bitcoin. And we actually didn't see a blow-off top, we just kind of saw a double top. And this was very new, very strange, and almost alien to a lot of people, because, you know, historically you can see, boom, blow off top, massive correction, boom, blow off top. I would still consider these one cycle. Obviously these were really early cycles, so it depends how you want to look at these, but you know, it's very obvious that we have blow off top, massive capitulation, blow off top, massive capitulation, blow off top, massive capitulation. Even though this was an all-time high, this was kind of just coming up before we had our double bottom, and I think something like that is going to play out once again. So, you know, previously we had this macro bottom, we had a big run up, another macro bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin comes down to like 22,000, comes all the way up to 50 or something, and then comes all the way back down, maybe to 29. 29 would make a lot of sense, according to this chart structure over here. So that's really all I've got. What I really want you to take away from this Bitcoin chart, even though it's a green Metaverse token video, is that I really do think we are in this type of scenario where in the next couple of weeks we are going to be seeing a mass capitulation. The volume is very, very bearish right now. You know, we're putting in our potential eighth weekly bearish candle in a row. It definitely doesn't look good, definitely doesn't look healthy in my opinion. And during these phases where Bitcoin has the last capitulation is normally the phase where everyone leaves the altcoin market, which is why I wanted to show you, you know, the altcoin market is capitulating at this moment in time, and it's very, very obvious that Bitcoin is outperforming all of these altcoin pairs. It's a shame I don't think we have a green Metaverse token BTC pair. Oh, we do over on Binance. This is great. So I'll show you this quickly, but you can see, I mean, it's very obvious. It looks just like the USD chart, except it's less exponential. And we actually predicted a 55% drop against Bitcoin. When was this? This was a while ago. We must have been flipping bearish on the EMA ribbons. I don't know where this target came from. I'm going to remove this and pretend that I didn't see this. But you can very much see, you know, GMT against Bitcoin. We're exceptionally bearish. I mean, there's no way you can argue this. We've clearly flipped bearish on the 4-hourly EMAs. We're clearly getting rejected. So in my opinion, another leg to the downside is going to be happening. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to look at an altcoin BTC chart, see that altcoin being outperformed by Bitcoin, me thinking that Bitcoin's about to drop further, meaning that the altcoins are about to drop a lot harder, and then to buy altcoins. So in my opinion, I'm all in on Bitcoin at this moment in time. That is my trading plan. I think altcoins are going to get decimated. I think green Metaverse token, all of the move to earns are going to get absolutely slaughtered in the next couple of weeks. Let me know what you think of that down below. Sucks to say, I wish it was different. I'm a crypto YouTube channel. I wish more than nothing for all of my content to be bullish 24/7, but I have to look at these charts objectively, and it seems pretty black and white to me that we are going to be breaking down. That's all I've got. As always, cowboy out. Peace.